Warning: listener discretion is advised, as details of how the victims were murdered will be shared. Two of the victims were 9-year-old children. If you are sensitive to these topics, you may want to skip this video. Hello, and welcome to my channel. Today's tragic tale is about two houses where two different murders occurred in the same house. The victims were not related to the previous victims, and the incidents were unrelated to each other. This story will be told in two parts. Part 1 will feature the first house, and Part 2 will feature the second house. I will also not give out last names of a couple people in these stories, as they have been released from prison. I can honestly say I could never knowingly live in a house where a murder happened. I have lived in houses where people have died of natural causes, but I would have a hard time sleeping or spending time in a room where someone met a violent end. I know it's not the house's fault, and I don't believe in ghosts. It's just the thought of the fear the person felt as they were dying that bothers me. Many houses across America have had murders take place and people buy them, and the past never repeats itself. However, in these two houses, history did repeat itself. I am sure there are many more homes like this, but these were the two I were able to find. The first house was located in Saginaw, Michigan at 535 South 23rd Street. The first death occurred in January 10th of 1990. The murder was discovered by a volunteer of a service called Meals on Wheels that delivered food to the elderly. The volunteer was delivering lunch to 69-year-old Joyce Crandall. When she entered the home, she found Joyce dead, slumped over in her favorite chair. Joyce had lived in that house since 1965. After her husband passed away in 1983, she continued to live in the house alone. In May of 1991, 15 months after Joyce's murder, a 25-year-old male was arrested. His name was Timothy, and he was known to Joyce. Timothy's trial began in May 1992. During the trial, it was revealed that Timothy had been questioned at his apartment in May of 1991 and agreed to take a polygraph test. However, he failed to appear. He was brought in for questioning at a later date, and this time he agreed to the polygraph. After he failed the test, he confessed that he had gone to Miss Crandall's house, but did not intend to hurt her. He knew her because his mother had lived nearby, and he had done work at her house over the past 8 years. He claims he knocked on her door and she answered with a gun. They struggled and the gun went off and a bullet hit Joyce, and the robbery was an afterthought. The Meals on Wheels volunteer testified when she went to Joyce's house, she found the house ransacked, and Miss Crandall usually kept a tidy house. Joyce's granddaughter testified that Timothy was one of a few people her grandmother trusted and allowed into her house. She also said there were 3 places where her grandmother kept money, and all of them were empty. An officer who investigated the crime scene said Timothy had stolen $12,000 in cash, a purse, and Joyce's .22 caliber handgun, and a police scanner. Autopsy results revealed she had been shot twice in the back and once in the chest, stabbed 3 times, and beaten. She suffered a broken arm. It was determined she bled to death from her chest wounds. After 10 hours, over 2 days of deliberation, the jury returned a verdict of guilty of armed robbery and involuntary manslaughter. On June 18, 1992, the judge expressed disgust in the jury's verdict. He sentenced Timothy to life for armed robbery and 10 to 15 years for involuntary manslaughter. On July 20, 2023, a parole hearing was held to decide if Timothy would be eligible for parole. On December 12, 2023, he was released on parole and will remain on probation until December 12, 2027. The second murder incident to happen at 535 South 23rd occurred in September 20th, 2009. This time it was the scene of a triple shooting. The victims were 9-year-old Devin Elliott and 34-year-old Barnell Amos. There was a third 29-year-old female victim who was in serious condition after the shooting, but she survived. Devin died instantly, and Barnell died the following day in the hospital. Barnell worked as a dishwasher at Sullivan's Restaurant in Saginaw, and was considered a loyal employee who kept to himself and showed up on time. He was a father to 13 children and was a friend of Devin's mother, and she often left her son in his care. Barnell was considered to be a special uncle to Devin, who often spent time at the house on 23rd Street. Devin was born in Radcliffe, Kentucky. He attended Heavenrich's elementary school for 2 years. He was in fourth grade. The principal said everyone who knew Devin was. He spoke with a southern accent, and he would arrive early to school to help his teachers. He would be spotted in the cafeteria at lunch eating with his favorite teacher. So many students grieved his loss. 150 people attended his funeral, including the Saginaw mayor, several classmates, and school faculty. Police believe the motive was robbery and that there was one or more person involved. The home invasion occurred at approximately 4 a.m. on September 20th, 2009. All of the victims were in bed asleep. Police who investigated the scene have no forensic evidence, and the female victim was unable to provide any details. As of 2024, the crime is still unsolved. America's Most Wanted looked into this, and from what I can see, they have posted on their website about the crime, but I am not sure if they ever ran a segment on the TV show. The house was demolished in 2011. Just because the house was demolished doesn't mean the crime should be forgotten. While Joyce's family didn't get the outcome they wanted, they at least knew who took their loved one's life. But that does not change the pain of losing her. For the family and friends of Barnell and Devin, they deserve answers too, and so does the surviving female victim. They all deserve justice and should not be forgotten. This concludes the first part of Two Homes with Two Murders. See part 2 on the next video. Thank you for watching.